Christopher Nolan didn't just make an IMAX movie, he completely pushed it further. So I'm going to start a series talking about the behind the scenes of movies to see what actually goes into them. And today we're going to start with part one of the Odyssey. Christopher Nolan is famous for his obsession with physical film, specifically 70mm film. And in 2008, he began replacing 35mm films with massive, noisy IMAX cameras for major action sequences. Over the years, he pushed the format further and now shooting a whole feature film completely done on IMAX. And ever since 2008, all of his films have been shot on an IMAX camera with the exception of Inception, which was still shot for IMAX, but an IMAX camera was too big and noisy for the handheld shots that Inception was trying to produce. Think of it like a painting. If I gave you a massive canvas so you can add all the details that you want in it, the skin texture, the hair follicles, anything you need, and then I take that canvas and shrink it down to, let's say, a sticky note, you'll have to sacrifice some of the details just for all the information to fit in. And that's essentially what happens with IMAX films. It gives filmmakers a canvas to capture the world. And that space allows us to capture so much more details that a regular camera just could not capture. But this is where IMAX gets crazy because you can't just pick up the camera and run with it all day. An IMAX camera essentially is running on a timer. You basically get 3 minutes before that giant roll of film runs out. So every take has to be calculated. The actors, the camera movement, the lighting, everything has to be locked in because when you hit record, you're not just wasting film, you're spending money. And one of the biggest challenges with an IMAX camera is the sound. These cameras are like having a lawnmower running right beside the camera when it's filming. And the reason for that is because IMAX uses 70mm film. This camera has to physically pull huge pieces of film through 24 frames per second, and that requires a massive motor. And for years, Nolan had to work around this. They would film a whole scene, they cut the camera off and have the actors record their dialogue separately, or they would record the dialogue later on in the studio. But for the Odyssey, Nolan wanted to film everything live, including the quiet conversations. But it also made this already huge camera even heavier, pushing the whole setup to around 300 pounds. So when people say it just looks better on IMAX, there's a reason for that. It's not just a button that they press after the film is finished. It's a completely different film itself. Nolan basically chose the hardest possible route to make the Odyssey because he wanted the audience to feel like they were immersed in the film with the characters.